Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Titusville CRA meeting on June 11th, 2019 at 5:30 p.m. We have a quorum. I'll call this meeting to order. Is there anybody that would like to do an invocation this evening? I see no one, so please join me as we usually do in a moment of silence. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First order of business is approval of minutes. I have a motion. You have to read the dates. There's two of them. The attorney, rather, is the person who gives the motion and reads the dates.
Okay, I move to approve the minutes of the regular Community Redevelopment Agency meeting on May 14th, 2019.
Second. And April?
I don't see April in here.
I don't see it.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was this on the revised one. You're correct, sir.
Thank you.
And we have a second by Mr. Leedy, Member Leedy. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, like sign. We have no special recognitions and presentations. Old business, there is none. New business, Mr. Executive Director.
At the May 14, 2019 Titusville Community Redevelopment Agency meeting, the CRA approved advisability for staff to develop a request for development interest for properties listed for sale in the downtown for a public-private partnership in the construction of mixed-use development. The intended development is to be consistent with commercial, multifamily, civic uses, all children's inclusive playground, and an amphitheater, either alone or on separate properties or together in a vertical or horizontal mixed-use development. Once the scope is approved, it will be forwarded to the purchasing department for advertising.
All right. What's your pleasure, counsel?
Can I go ahead? No?
You certainly can.
Okay. I want to make sure I do it right now.
You're going for a record tonight, aren't you?
Let me get back to the thing here. I guess I move for approval of the RFQ going out to the public? Is that a good?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine. I think
All
that
right.
covers it. Any,
Give me a second.
anything on this? Second, sorry. Anything else? Any discussion? See none? Oh, good. There we go. Yes, sir. Go right ahead. Member Ball.
So we got a motion and a second. I just for discussion wanted to ask what the intention is for how do we advertise this? What's the city's standard approach? I mean, how are we going to get the word out as broadly as we can that this opportunity exists?
We contact developers that have done business with the city. We also advertise it on our website. And then the respondents will come back and we'll narrow, bring it back to you guys for approval.
The reason I asked the question is that I just would think we would want to cast the net as broadly as possible. So perhaps the Economic Development Director, Edie, would have some ideas of how to maybe reach some people that have not previously taken a look at Titusville.
Yes, sir.
So
Will do.
that's all. Thank you.
Good suggestion.
I'm sorry, it would also go on Demand Star, which goes out nationally.
If I might, one more, just to ask, is there any avenue through the downtown redevelopment, what do they call it, the statewide
Yes, the
organization?
Florida Redevelopment Association, you also see those kinds of requests for either interest or RFPs, et cetera.
Thank you.
Okay. Member Leedy.
I am supportive of this, but I have a few questions too. I had mentioned to the executive director before the meeting I'd be curious to hear any member on the, on our board, what they think of this. But sometimes development or a developer and a city are like water and oil. You get into a lot of things regarding financing, and the city will want certain things. And I just want us to make sure that, you know, we're on top of that. And I don't know how you put it into the, maybe you don't, but I like the idea of casting a large net. But I can recall years, you know, where we've talked about development, and we've talked about even the downtown giving money on our grant programs, and sometimes that can get sticky with with banks. So I just wanted to comment on that, and I think this is a great idea, and see what happens, and see what kind of feedback we get.
And thank you, sir. And that's exactly what we're trying to do, see what kind of feedback. We have several points of interest. One, I think we discussed at the last meeting about, and what we're trying to do, of course, is to attract more people downtown, more customers for the business, and then they'll be encouraged to, the whole downtown needs to grow, and you can only do that if you have customers. Let me rephrase it a little bit. But part of that is something we saw over in Winter Garden, where they have a particular building that has a farmer's market type thing in it, and has various small coffee shops and things like that. Other things as well, clothing and food. And I've seen them in many places. I've seen that type of thing. I remember the biggest one I've ever seen was up in Charleston, and it's a fabulous draw for them, and it's a huge building they're in now, and they started out in a very small one. So those are the type of things, but we have to see who's interested in doing what.
Was the Winter, or did you say Winter Park?
A Winter Garden.
Was that a public-private deal?
No, sir, it was a private. It's called the Plant Street Market.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so I have Member Ball again, or is that last one?
Yes, just one more point, and again, I like the initiative. I think it's just the first step to try to get a bucket full, hopefully, of developer interest. So in addition to the marketing or the targeting point I made, I would also suggest, unless I missed it, that we provide something in the form, maybe it's the annual report of the Community Redevelopment Agency, the most recent one. It's a really good document that says where we've been, where we're going. Anything to help stimulate the thinking on the part. They probably get loads of opportunities, and so we want them to pay attention to this one by using whatever marketing tool we can to say, hey, let's generate some interest. That's all. And thank you for the initiative, Member Jordan. It's a good idea.
I see no other lights. We have a motion and a second. I'll call the motion. All those in favor say yes. Yes. Any opposed, like sign. Passes unanimously. Next item is petitions and requests from the public. Is there anybody who would like to speak? If you do, please come forward.
Good evening. My name is Stan Johnston. I'm addressing you tonight as a professional engineer. And I have with me, these are firm maps of the city of Titusville, and decisions that the council's making. These firm maps are void. They're void, absolutely void. They're not any use anymore. I'll explain to you why. We have a rainstorm. Let's say we have a rainstorm, and the rain comes down, say a gallon of water. It has three ways. St. John's River, Addison Canal, out towards St. John's River through I-95 through the areas what I'm talking about that have been clogged. So we have 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 a gallon coming out there. Okay, let's go ahead and block that ones that is going over under I-95. So instead of 1/3 coming out here and 1/3 coming out here, we'll have 1/2. 2 sixths, 1/3, 3 sixths, 1/2. They're increased by 50% each. So what happens is that these firm maps under here that they're going to, like for example, Ms. Bojak's house, they're getting more water. Please be reminded that in the 1940s, we had a flood here. I've seen floods. I've seen people drown. I've seen houses go down rivers. I don't know if y'all have ever seen that, but it's not pleasant. In the 1940s, we had a flood here in Titusville. It went over State Road 405. Maybe you think that won't happen again, but it could. And understand is that last year, as I filed a document with the public record that does not include Mr. Jordan, but all the other people up here, excuse me, Mr. Jordan and the CRA, indicating that it's not being done. It's in violation of the stormwater management plan, in violation of the FEMA maps, is that these floodways from I-95 to the St. Johns River between Fox Lake Road and State Road 50, they're not being maintained. They're not being, no easements or rights-of-ways have been obtained as per the, this document. This is the stormwater management plan adopted by the city. So again, is that, when we repeat again, is that, right here we have it, is that these firm maps, they're no longer valid. Especially like our city attorney to take notice of that. And is that all?
Your time is up, sir.
Okay. They have extra time? Okay.
I think you did have some extra time. I saw the light come on late, so.
Pardon?
I think you had some extra time. The light
okay.
came on late.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is, anybody else from the public wish to speak? I see no one. Executive Director's report, sir.
Yes, sir, and board, no action items, just some informational items and updates for your consideration. Subject to your questions.
Anybody have any questions on anything? I see none. I think we, at this point, have met all the requirements of this meeting, so I will declare this meeting adjourned. Next meeting starts at 6:30.